Whenever you're ready.
Cool. So, what do you want to talk about?
What's okay.
So when how does it all start? So, I'm thinking about a way to make some money, and we already cook for friends and family when they're going through a tough time. We just put more in the pot and divvy some up and give them a meal. It comes on, but I get to sit behind a monitor and watch it. And there's one moment, right? They were discussing something, so the actress got off the bed. The camera was still focused in the dolly, focused on the bed. And I remember thinking, oh my god, I've never seen a pillow look so good. And it was all just down to the lighting. It was incredible what they can do with the lighting and how they can make it. Little dancer in the dark, no light shining, yawn of unnoticed talent that delights the world. Lonely you're feeling, adjust, sleep, rest, charge. Keep dancing, little angel. In late 2019, I had like a 50-worder on a feature. It's actually coming out in a few days, called The Ascendant, and yeah, so I got to do some makeup for that. It wasn't drastic stuff for me, but next to me was Charlotte Best, and she's getting full makeup, and it's sort of halfway through the movie she's been terrorized and beaten, whatever, and she's got the full on blood makeup and whatever.
The purple marks and stuff.
Yeah. There'd be other people who would want the service that I'm providing, but be happy to pay for it as well. So I created this business called What's for Dinner, Dad. I broadcast my weekly meal plan to people who are interested, and they'd let me know if they wanted sort of Monday night, Wednesday night, and how many portions. And so they just let me know. They come around with their own containers and just those sorts of constraints, and I could just do what I want to do and then just go for it. So yeah, fun times.
What are some of your favourite paintings that you saw?
So my favourite painting is that one, the Luncheon on the Boathouse, and there's just something about the way he's captured the moment, and they just seem so relaxed and so happy and content. Just owned up to it.
I think he did. I think he just wanted to.
What I'm doing. It's kind of morphed a bit now, and I'm now offering this as a service to micro-budget film productions as well.
Yeah.
So the way that happened was I'd turn up to a film set, and we might be in a remote location, and they'd have to send someone out half an hour to pick up some food and then drive it back half an hour. I cook great meals, and I was like, hey, I've got this business, why don't you let me cook? Do you want me to barrel it from time to time? No, never. Other TV shows. I mean, when I was a kid, I watched Neighbours and Home and Away. I think I even had all the collector cards for the Neighbours plastered on my wall. What did I watch the other day? A bit of Offspring, and yeah, Asha Keddy. She's just in everything. Seems like the locals kind of know what you're doing. And what you're up to.
You know, just
This would be a good backdrop to do something.
it would be, yeah.
Colour. Like a long, like a moustache, and yeah, you know. And it says Aussie underneath. I love that because, you know, for me as someone who's grown up in Australia, not looking Australian, that image of someone else who doesn't look traditionally Aussie, and with the, you know, the words Aussie on the bottom, like I am Aussie, like that really spoke to me. And then in that exhibition, I realised that that poster is actually one of and some of the paintings, I remember being really drawn to a lot of Renoir paintings, in particular Luncheon on the Boathouse, and yeah. So I think you know, in reviewing it, like art has played an important role in my life, but not a constant, steady throughout my life. But yeah, it's not like I'm immune to art. Yeah, so it was nice to go to. Before that, because our parents actually knew each other when they were uni students, so they all went to the same youth group at the church, and there was probably about 30 international students who were all together, and they weren't in exactly the same groups, but they were, you know, definitely friends.
mutual friends.
Yeah, and so, you know, they all paired off and had their kids and whatever, and her parents, her father in particular, went to UCLA to get an MBA, and with the intention of coming back to Australia and that opening doors for his career. And when it didn't, they moved back to the US with the intention of coming back to Australia, but they never did. And so
That's her parents? Or?
Hey?
Her parents?
That's her parents, yeah. So yeah. So in 1988, some of these mutual friends.
Yeah. Shall I take you here?
Thank you.
Nice.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mario.
Yeah, so one of these mutual friends who knew that he's a pilot for Qantas, and he's flying back and forth between LA and Sydney, and he manages to find them, and shortly after they come to Australia and they reconnect with my parents.
Okay.
So a year later, we go to the US, and you know, with one of my older sisters and my parents, and one of our many stops in the US is their place, and that's when we first met. And I remember walking into her house. I remember the moment. I remember meeting her for the first time. Coloured braces, side ponytail, you know, a shirt with a Garfield t-shirt underneath, tied in a knot at the bottom. We played Jenga that first night, and from that moment, I was sold. You know, I'll say that with an asterisk. There were a few other girls that I met on that trip as well, which who I became infatuated with. But you know, that's what happens when you're a 12-year-old boy, right? Then we became pen friends with her younger sister and my older sister, and we'd send letters to each other for a couple of letters a year, stay in contact like that. And then when she finished high school, her mum thought it'd be a great idea to send her out to Australia to spend a couple of weeks with, you know, good church-going Auntie Ada, instead of letting her go to Cancun. So she came to stay with us, and you know, we were 18, and that's when we spent quite a bit of time together. We had an 18-year-old sort of summer romance, and you know, we fell in love as 18-year-olds do, and she's definitely the more practical or pragmatic one of us, and so I was busy trying to make a long-distance relationship work, and she was like, "No, this isn't going to." After trying for a bit, this isn't going to work. So she called it off. You know, of course, I was devastated, and we didn't really make contact for 4 years or so, and then out of the blue, with email being easier, and this sort of dates the whole story, But with email being easier, I decided I'll contact her and see how she's doing. That sort of started that started a process of just exchanging an email a year, just checking on each other, and nothing was ever going to happen. She's sort of seen this guy, had 3 years steady. She's happy. It was just nice to sort of get in touch and see where each other were. But then, fast forward a few more years, I'm travelling around the world with some mates, and we stop in LA as one of our stops, and I drop in on her. And she's still seeing this guy, and I go out with her and her friends and this guy for one night. And I remember the night after. The night I got dropped home, I remember thinking, oh man, I totally missed out here. Like, she's the one, but she's seeing this guy, and I just remember feeling devastated. 6 months later, tragically, my dad is dying from pancreatic cancer, and pancreatic cancer doesn't have a good prognosis because they usually only find it in stage 4, so it's already spread. So he's got about 6 months to live, and her parents want to come out to Australia and to spend some time with Dad before he dies. So she comes out with her parents, and literally we get to spend another 2 weeks together, and literally it's like it was when we were 18. And it just blew me away that there was something so permanent about us in the way we worked together that hadn't changed in 10 years. And I said, we have to. Now that we have the means, we have to try and make this work.
Wow.
So she packed up her stuff.
What happened to the dude?
Hey?
What happened to the dude?
Oh yeah. So that relationship was sort of on off, and when she was over in Australia, it wasn't on. So so we decided that we'd try and make it work, and she spent 9 months sort of tying up loose ends in her life and landed in Australia, and then 9 months after that I proposed to her, and then
that's it. That's so cool.
And 9 months later we were married. So long story. Around you, open clouds and open skies for a white beast to come down and flatten all philosophy. Do not complain if you cannot think in higher standards to the norm and be an individual while a part of society. A commandment: do not make this a face value of truth. Refute after thinking. Remember, if people are involved, there will be no perfect revolution. History has patterns. Relativism is underrated by the mainstream. There is no other like the one who remains an original innovator, who is humble in daily processes to be better in each of their actions. Society is better as such. A horrible tendency I have, being a romantic and a soft-hearted person when it comes to love. I'm all too easily giving in to fantasies about love. At times it's almost disillusionment. Maybe it's not, though it's highly addictive. It's an interpretation of my daily life. Focus, and all too often, I believe it's a reality. I believe that true love actually exists, and that life between two soulmates isn't emulation but the template of romantic art. Perhaps it's not necessarily about the subject. Maybe it's my natural desire to escape the society and or culture I am currently living in, or just the people I know. It's an ironic moment in my life. But I looked at it with deep concern, worry, and some sort of content. It is a part of me. Real life can't be thought out, like a scene in the theatre. Like Bruce Lee said, it must be endured. Control is a funny thing. It implies so much. Control can be implemented towards oneself, but not for the outwards. Control of reality is undefined, while what's acted out. With its cousin, propaganda, advertising, and I dare say art. Legal institution, government institutions, and religion are now common modern practices. I think it's probably a spectrum. Maybe not as creative as some people, but yeah, I'd say I'm a creative, and yet I spent 5 years in a corporate sales job, and 5 years also running my own cafe. And I think that was 10 years where I didn't allow myself to do anything that was creative. Before that, I was dancing at Sydney Dance Company, doing casual jazz ballet classes with the block back from the beach. So, and I'm not saying that I feel like I'm an assassin and I get it. But what was interesting was we did an exercise where we look at the similarities and the differences between us and the characters, and yeah, obviously there's some differences, but the more I looked at it, the more I could see, oh yeah, it's different, but here's how I'm similar. And so when it came time to doing it, it's like I had way more similarities with this character than differences. And for example, one of them is that I love to help people. Beauty, singing softly rhymes a symphony to whom I am without her. Just another boy of unrequited love, with her lightly dark eyes that crystallize their cemented infinity of love. Without her, my night and hope is gone, as I love her, wanting to hold her in my arms. How can I go on? To think she's there, lost, that a single touch as a single verse of poetry drenches her. To what does it matter that poetry can't keep her? The poem's soul doesn't have stanzas full of answers to cure the heart. That's a certainty. I love her, that's certain. It's a matter of how, too. Love is so short, shorter than life itself, and this is my pain I must suffer. The nightingale, at midnight, gathered I see her, wanting to hold her, to keep her safe. She might love me back. To think I can write this and not have her. The verse's soul falls past her. Like in grace and in the distance there's another, singing only for her. As my heart searches for her, no longer, gone, far gone, and my breath speaks, in hopes she'll come back. Forgetting is in pain, and it's so long. And if this is what life makes me feel before I pass, let it be. For I had loved someone from afar. Yeah, 45, eh? Yeah. I planted one at our place in North Ryde maybe about 6 years ago. Yeah, still very much just... Yeah, it looks great. Nice. I think I probably like that because I've been chasing that my whole life. Chasing this feeling of contentment and peace and relaxation, you know what I mean? Except that I don't find it in having a boozy lunch anymore. I find it in meditation and just trying to sort of be in the moment, mindfulness and concentrating on my breathing and things like that. So I find it in the breath. So that's quite nice. Maybe put the asphalt in, or bitumen, whatever you call it. Current affairs. With the impending move to the US, I'm kind of fixated on US politics. I watch Latin America every week. But yeah, news and current affairs, Media Watch, 7:30, Four Corners. But for light entertainment, comedy, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a good one. And
it's just, I don't know, man. It's just, his name's Matt, but he's just as himself.
interesting to watch.
Yes, yeah, pretty much.
Well, what makes him interesting?
I don't know. It's just his.
Can't put it into words, eh?
Yeah.
I was just down at school now.
Yeah. You probably drove past him, just didn't see the cafe.
Oh yeah, no, I did. I saw doing like painting on it. It looked like it was a bike shop.
Yeah, not bad.
cool. I normally come around this road here, but I never turn down. It was wonderful. What was there if you keep going straight? I mean, that New York trip was just great anyway. I literally had 2 48-hour periods in New York, and I packed it for like, I think I slept for like a total of like 4 hours in that time, and I just went to jazz bars, museums, and ate good food, yeah, it was so good. It was fun. It was fun just having a limited amount. I was when I'd gone there, and I was like, wow, this is something, right? So this is a real thing that's doing something for me that I haven't had for a long time. And so yeah, so it's been really good, and I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's kind of like comes in waves. I think life is like that. Life has its ups and downs, and Coven. It's a classic Australian vista, gum trees, and then a lady sitting against a tree. She's heavily pregnant, in a sort of late 18th century or late 19th century.
Australian artist, I don't know much.
Yeah, it's just a classic one, and that's always just sort of stuck in my mind. I don't know, something haunting about the Australian bush, I think. I don't know. The storm, sacred groves and trees, strength and protection of mankind, also hallowing and fertility. Besides Old Norse extensions of the god,
As much power as I'm getting now, I mean, I don't see how.
as donuts, it's European Germanic. There you go.
So it's just hard for me to. I don't understand why you.
Germanic peoples from the Roman occupation of regions of Germania to the Germanic expansions of the migration period to its high popularity during the Viking Age. There you go. There's a Viking.
Or Riddy or anything like that.
Emblems of his hammer, Molnir, were worn, and Norse pagan personal names containing the name of the god bear witness to his popularity.
Because you'd have to run it reduced anyway.
Archaeological record. Goes back to the 11th century in Iceland.
They won't let you run it.
Been told for many years, millennia.
Oh no, I'm talking CW key down, probably well in excess of 2,000 watts. I wouldn't be surprised to see 2200.
Calculate how much a day was, like what they were spending. So I think the budget was something like 250, maybe 300 mil. And yeah, so it was basically about $1 to $1.5 million a day that they were spending. I was just saying. And then to realise that at the end, why time is so important, because every minute that goes by, you're just like, burning money.
Yeah.
Before that, I had done like musicals at school and uni. Before that, I was, singing. So there's always something that was a little bit, I guess, creative in my life. But yeah, those 10 years, there was nothing. And so when I started doing some night courses at NIDA, it was amazing. I'd spend the day looking after the kids and doing everything I needed to do to sort of manage the home. I'd be tired, and on the way to my class, I'd be thinking, like I'm tired.
No, they've always they've cut it into the budget.
The first AD is like, because I think the first AD probably has like some remuneration bonus based on whether they meet certain targets in terms of time and stuff like that. Just imagine it's like, check it as like, just go. Okay,
They probably
do we talk for?
With the first day, they probably told him other things like make sure you keep us in mind. So I think that's pretty.
That was like a totally impromptu.
Yeah.
I'm personalizing my destiny. More likely or not, will fail. Living well with the cover of a smile is a fine art. What's the point? I'm binded by my own mortality. I feel shame. No, I feel lost. I either got no one to talk to, or no one will listen. But these poems I leave behind are things I've always wanted to say. I'm not melodramatic, I'm on an ending will. Do no praise me, for I'll sin again. Or, what do I know anyway? I'm not a part of your life, and doesn't no one ever understand? She smiled. I responded by doing the same. We dissolved into it. It's not even ending, but now nothing hurts. I never shared my first meeting with her with anyone. It is literally the single most important meeting of my life. I don't think people will fail to understand. It's two people falling in love. New moment experienced to my astonishment. I continue, nestling into a deeper depth of love. It's sympathy for something higher. Articulating what I think about her, how I feel, her impact on my life is like expressing love aligned, learning, a risk. Yeah, so acting for me is a new pursuit, and it's been a really freeing process to allow some creativity out. And I think what I've realized is that for the last 10 years I've kind of denied that creative part of me.
When you're ready.
Poetry, evidence for love, no other place that it exists. For my entire life, I had lived unmarked moments of life, a voyage of endless mundane. It's delay, isn't it? Not only to find love, but to find yourself and live it out. No poem, no parent, no one ever teaches one how to love. There's endless heartbreak at times. I can't blame others for not loving me. For moments I cannot love myself. No writer can ever make up an answer for love. Sometimes I was loved, as I loved her. Be with me now. Writing no poetry to sugarcoat any love felt and experienced. Smile for me now. Happiness and sadness is shown strongly in being coexisting in poetry.
I just like documented life.
Like murder and theft. There is some love and affection towards other people, like family and friends with people I've known for more than 10 years. Not to support capitalism or material wealth, but when I work for money, I do reward myself, something of value, like a book, to which the points are understandable. Control. Worry about yourself, rather worry about the external. Why? It's the only thing that anyone can purely control is themselves. I have thoughts of it, where resentment motivating my hands to bloody murder, and sure, jealous of another material position I would like to give myself, but no, I'll never have. Sure, reading this, it may look like an issue of myself and emotions. There are running thoughts of prevention, treatment, avoidance, learning, and hindsight. Not so much for the greater good of society, but personal revelation. There are a myth and nonsense. Good advice and self-help books. Conversations with friends and random stories to be told. All in all, controlled action can provide valuable contributions to reality. Make sure you stain this earth of your personality and nothing else. Memory is truly immortal, whether it's in art or another. If it's not honest and a result of hard work, it's pointless. If it's not the progressive of your work, it's pointless. Every day you must work to leave a stain. But I support the arts and humanities. both or either. The rest is useless human activity. You can support others, but refer as a fan. Literature and philosophy can argue are the highest. Thought out, planned and revised. Words to use to articulate like what poets do. Thoughts and new ideas pointed out. Set of different questions. Learning to create art, any art, is a healthy form of indulging all parts of life, including anger and hate. Not to encourage it, not for encouraging others to follow through and act on it. You can learn about yourself not in mere talent and skill. Conversations, actions, work, things we do in private are at worst times dull and mundane. One's character flexible and dynamic, deep, even if one doesn't know. Symbols in art can translate what everyday words and actions can't. For it's constant in wisdom and mysticism that the universe is inside and God is only. I am expecting that the arts will take over religion, like the sciences, philosophy as well. Because of it, applicable to everyone, filling out unwanted culture. Because life is quite tragic, predominantly due to the rise of AI. If you read Nick Bostrom or listen to his lectures, the brain is limited, an argument against freedom, on the account of its physicality. Maybe enlightenment does wear a mask and humanity has been calling the mask God. Maybe Bostrom supports a limitation of intelligence on account that the brain does not grow larger. It seems kind of lacking. I'm not a doctor. Maybe a reason to disregard this. In terms of computers, the size is limitless, or at least can rule over the size of this earth. Until interstellar travels can be mastered, then that computer can go into space. Do not forget, people are products of not only their choices, but our culture. To move forward to perfectionism and that constant alluring perfect revolution, the generation before must be destroyed, causing issues for history lessons. Disregard both left and right-wing thinkers. Society has a natural flow and time always moves forward. Kant wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Hume. Can knowledge be restraining? The same with values and morals, ethics. Ignorance is very constraining. This is awareness as well. But wisdom can produce not only progress, but leads the path to self-produce happiness, devoting to the culture and improving. I'm coming from nothing, became educated, so bow down to this white trash god. I learned aesthetics, like how I'm learning philosophy, only to transfer wisdom into simple words to add value to someone's life. But sometimes, when you're young and able to take in the ideals and apply them into your own life, you'll get turned around. I might seem full of myself, but at one stage, being a pill junkie, inspired by a trench coat with AKs during a time when Bill Clinton got his blowjobs, Satan speaks in heavy metal, and Marilyn Manson gets blamed. Be another guy. Why? When I can be my God. The only pledge of allegiance I'm willing to take is the ode to myself, and I can go deeper if the other can bang out more than poetry. Fun. How good would life be if you could just go back to, 5 or 10 years? If you could have the knowledge of the mindset of what you are in the future in that moment, how much easier life would be.
Yeah, true. The thing is, like, I get how important being educated is now.
How being what?
Educated is.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's not going to determine the rest of your life, they've got like certificates and stuff like that, but
I just mean the angst.
yeah.
Being in the moment and not knowing if things are going to be okay or whatever. It's like, I just imagine if I went back into primary school, knowing what I know now about life, I was like, yeah, this is fun. Way, funnily enough, in maths. But yeah, it has its ebbs and flows, and there's moments where it's really gelling and it's going well, and there's moments where it's like it feels like I'm pushing too hard and it's not clicking. So I'm training it.
Yeah, thank you. That's what just like, what about camera setups and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, like obviously again the amount of time it takes, the choice of camera angle, and, panning and the dolly and all of that. I think what I stranger, and the stranger's talking about how beat up as an adult man by the school bully, and how this is ongoing, and eventually this assassin's like, well, you know, you can't let that happen to you. You need to do something about that. You know, this man shouldn't be living. And he's like, oh, I can't do that. Maybe you could. And then he goes, are you asking me to kill him? In this endless creation of discovery, the fact we're giving love a go in itself is a reason for muses to simply celebrate. We fell into a dream and felt every aspect of it. I didn't replace reality, it is fate. A tangible result is that romance art is derived from life, though all too often not the constructed image we had in our dreams. To each new moment experience, to my astonishment, I continued, nestling into a deeper depth of love. Its sympathy for something higher, articulating what I think about her, how I feel, her impact on my life is like expressing love-aligned learning areas to do so. Bit all I know, she's immortalized in pictures now. Where now? The past is left behind to where it belongs. Past lovers, where we both failed, and now something. It showed that I had risked opening my heart and placing it out to beat. Giggling thoughts of falling in love once upon a time, two women who showed me no attention. Shadowing all present poetry, restarting it. Reforming work culture, a landscape of beginning rapture to pull forward the second moment of artistic genre. Just detached from all. Gesturing poems with strong philosophical messages running behind the aesthetic words, driving it forward in culture. Violent passions being let go, passion separated for what love is. Rising pillars in universal culture for poets to praise homage to. Spilling into fusing art, transcending into other forms of art. With the discovery of two souls finding actual love, the universe is too stunned to move, defying physics itself, gaining something more than a celebrity status amongst our muses, embedded to fireflies. So I remember being quite affected by some Edward Hopper, is it Edward Hopper? Anyway, some Hopper paintings, and got some prints and framed them back at home. It felt like I'd never sort of appreciated art like that before, but having said that, you know what? In my primary school, we used to have prints of all these amazing paintings up in the hallways. Somehow subconsciously suggested to me that I find peace and contentment in having nice long lunches with friends. Other paintings, I don't know. I mean, another one that's sort of haunted me from when I was in year 3. In year 3, wow, I would have been like 8, yeah. So, if I could find this, because I took a screenshot of. It's great. Oh yeah, here it is. That could be my dad, man. And here's the 4 images altogether of Aussies. How good is that,
cool.
you know? And you know what that says to me is we've had immigration in Australia for so long, and these people are Aussies. Yet, you know, decades and even maybe centuries later, you know, these Aussies don't feel like Aussies. You know, I think that's quite sad for me personally, and as someone who, you know, considers myself to be Australian. Yeah.
So where was the last posted?
The Art Gallery of New South Wales. Yeah, Art Gallery of New South Wales. I think it might have been a temporary exhibition though. I don't know if it's still there. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on filmmaking? Film in general for culture.
For culture?
Yeah.
I think I don't know. My instinct is that filmmaking today is kind of like it's about making money and entertaining people, and in so much as it's capturing what's fashionable and trendy at the time. I don't know that it's doing a lot more than that. I think there probably are people who are creating film to be art, but that's not what most people are consuming, I don't think. I think most of it is, how do I zone out, and how do I... Yeah, it's kind of escapism, most film. Yeah. And the stuff that does sort of make you think, like the piece of art that makes you go, oh, how do I think about that? It's pretty fringe stuff, and you know, if I watch it, my wife's like, I don't want to watch this, and even I have to admit, after watching it, I'm like, like it doesn't necessarily make me feel good, but I guess that's what it is. I think most film that's making money is kind of like the junk food of film. You know, you consume it, it makes you feel good for a moment, and then you're done with it. Yeah.
You know, any what are some standout films?
Standout films. What did I watch recently? What did I just watch? I borrowed 3 movies from the library the other day. I got Parasite, and I also got Australian film Rams, which is pretty good. I enjoyed that. And what was the third movie? It would have been slightly edgier, and I think. Oh no! I got something that my wife and I would watch. There you go. It was Men in Black International. And that was fun, you know. And you know, Hemsworth is great. Is funny in his own way, and it's like watching Thor, but you know, Thor doing Men in Black. But you know, he's good. Notable film that I've watched recently. I don't know. Hard to say. Animal Kingdom I watched, that was good. You know what I really want to watch? I want to get my hands on A Streetcar Named Desire, because so I recently just read it, and there's this reference to it in Seinfeld where someone says Stella. But I never knew that was a reference to Streetcar Named Desire, so I really want to get the film so I can watch it and see Marlon Brando do that. No other reason. It's probably a great movie too.
I think it's a play. Originally a play.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Where they turned it into a film.
I'm waiting for the Victor Kilo boys coming through as well, but a bit early at the moment. Another half an hour, and the VKs will all... Really?
That's it?
And now, live from the Geico Fox Sports Radio studios.
Oh, here he is, folks.
Here he is, Ben Maller.
A topsy-turvy weekend in the NBA. Welcome in the beginning